Hello, this is Baldo LaRussa with the Sold by Baldo team, and we are presenting our first time home buyers class. This is a class where we're going to go step by step on how the home buying process is, making it nice and easy so you understand every step of the way. So I hope you enjoy and I hope you get a lot out of it. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Joe DeBarto with the Sold by Baldo team. Thank you for coming to our first-time homebuyers class, and hope you have a great day.
Hi, my name is Barbara Ventura from the Sold by Baldo team. We are here today with our first-time homebuyer class. Thank you for coming. We hope you get a lot of information out of it.
Hey, I'm Marco Darduini with the Sold by Baldo team. Welcome to our first-time homebuyers class here at Keller Williams' legendary office.
Hi guys, welcome. I'm Baldo, and this is the Sold by Baldo team, and we're excited today to just run down the steps of first-time home buying. So each of you have a notepad, a pen in front of you. You can write down notes. Inside the folder we'll have what we're talking about and what you'll see on the slideshow as well. So from the introduction to everything, just in case you want to remember something, we're gonna be giving you a lot in a very short period of time. And of course, if you guys have questions after we're done, please, as many questions as you have, and we'll go from there. So congratulations first. This is your first step in possibly becoming a homeowner. So this is exactly where you want to be. This is where you're going to learn each step, and we're going to go from here. So we're going to start with introducing our vendors. So Barbara, please. Okay, I got it. So we're going to start with introducing our vendors. First we have Rebecca from Cardinal. This is Rebecca. She's our bank. One of the best in the business. She's been doing it for quite a while. I know she looks like she's a teenager, but she's been doing it for a very long time. And she's very, very good at what she does, and she'll be speaking in a little bit. We have Leslie Wells, who's the attorney. She's not here today, but we do have a small video we'll be playing of her. She's from the South. She's the best with first-time home buyers. She's so gentle. She holds hands. She's exactly who you want to work with, especially when you're a first-time home buyer. You have a million questions. We also have Rob from Premier Home Inspections. He's going to have a few things to say as well. Inspection's a huge part of buying your first home. You really want to know what you're getting yourself into. That's the gentleman who's going to help with that. And then we have Rob Fuzesi from 360 Multimedia. Great videographer, great photographer, does a ton of work in and around the area. So if you have any questions on that, we have his information as well. All right, so let's start. Introduction. You wake up and you said, today I want to buy a house. I'm ready, right? That's it. You're good. All you got to do is pull out your credit card, point at the one you want, swipe, and we're good to go. I wish it was that easy, but it's not. But it's not as hard as we think. So one of my first suggestions would be to find an agent. Find an agent that you're comfortable with. It might not be me. That's why we have so many people on the team. My face might bother you. I get it. It bothers a lot of people. That's why we have so many great people on the team, which is Giuseppe, we have Marco, and we have Barbara. So my favorite people in the world. They're all going to say something at one point. Oh, slide. So, first thing I would say is find somebody to work with. Find an agent that you know, that you trust, that has a proven track record. You want to work with somebody who has numbers and knows how to negotiate and knows how to work for you. It's very important this is a great union. This is somebody you're going to put a lot of faith, time, and trust into. You want to be sure that this is somebody that you want to work with. The second thing is linking up with a mortgage person that knows what they're doing. And this is why Rebecca's here as well. This is the person who knows what they're doing. They're going to run through, they'll give you any program that's out there, anything that's going to benefit you. Two things that are very important to the home buying. Again, the realtor that you're working with and the mortgage person that you're working with. First thing you do after you meet the realtor that you want is getting pre-approved. And that is all on Rebecca. A pre-approval is so important nowadays because most houses don't even want to show unless there's a pre-approval. So, and knowing what you have, knowing what you can and can't do. A lot of buyers say, oh yeah, I'm good for 500. maybe you are. Maybe you're better for more. Maybe you think the number that you can afford is 500, but that number is different than what you're actually looking at, or possibly not. So when you do speak to Rebecca about your mortgage, she'll break it down for you almost to the dollar. She'll tell you your tax bracket. She'll tell you how much you're comfortable with. That's a big thing too. When you finally do know your number, I am a strong believer in do what you're comfortable with, not what you can afford. There's a big difference. So, you're still gonna wanna go on vacation, you're still gonna want new shoes, you still want, whatever it may be, you're still gonna wanna live your life. So make sure your number makes sense for you where you can still live your life. And that's gonna be a tax and a price point. So that's something that's the conversation you have with Rebecca, and she'll really break it down for you. Realistic must-haves and wants, right? So, like, I want 6 bedrooms, jacuzzi in every bedroom. I want an in-ground Olympic pool. I want this. I want that. It's not realistic. You really have to think about what you have. Possibly you have 3 kids. You can't buy a 2-bedroom house. That's a must. You must have more than 2 bedrooms. So you really have to break down your wants and your needs. And then what happens is we have your price point. We know what you can afford, and then we pick your areas. And I tell you, okay, look, this is what you can get here, this is what you can get here, this is what you can get here, and are you comfortable with that? So realistic must-haves and wants, very important as well. Bank do's and don'ts. Rebecca's gonna get into this, right? So nobody buy a Ferrari, right? When you're looking for a house. Like, forget the Ferrari. After you close, buy the Ferrari, it'll be great. I typically have one rule when you're looking for a home. I cap my budget at $300. So if you're gonna buy something that's over $300, quick phone call, a text message. Hey Rebecca, I was thinking about buying this $2,000 purse. She's gonna probably say, don't do it. It's not a good idea. I really want the new Tesla that drives itself. Hold off. So my thing is, after $300, kind of put a cap on it and make the quick text. Say, hey, is this gonna affect me? Because everything affects you when you're in the process of buying a house. She'll get into more of the do and don'ts when she gets up here. Presentation. So you wanna start narrowing down your areas. So when you start looking for a house, it's very overwhelming. Like, you're like, well, in Franklin Square, I can get a Cape for $650, but if I go to, Suffolk, deep Suffolk, I can get, a Colonial for $650 on an 80 by 100. You kind of want to narrow down your areas. You want to be able to know where you're comfortable. Comfort. If you pick too many areas, it's very overwhelming. So I would say pick no more than 2 at a time. And for my sake, or anybody on the team, please don't let it be, the Hamptons and Franklin Square. Just kind of keep it close, just to make it a little bit better. So narrowing down your areas, huge. It keeps you focused. When you're looking at one area, you really know what's coming out. You're on top of the market. You really know how to lock on something, and it just helps you in the long run. Scheduling your time during the week and weekends, and setting up for open houses. To set an appointment for a house, I wish it was as easy as, oh, I want to see this house on 123, Candy Lane. And I say, okay, let's go. Meet me in half hour. We have to make sure that we know your schedule ahead of time. We want to know when you're available. We want to know how your weekends look, and we want to be able to set up your schedule. And we wrap ourselves around your schedule, so we know Wednesdays, you don't work on Wednesdays. Wednesdays, we load you up. We make sure that Wednesdays, you're ready to go, and we have all your appointments set for that day. So we kind of like to know your schedule ahead of time, so we can always be ready for it. Open houses are great. You want to go look in Suffolk County, and there's 3-4 houses you want to see. you let us know. We'll set up each one. So you don't have to sign any paperwork. You don't have to do anything. You just walk in. You tell them, hey, this is my agent, and we set everything up for you. Okay, so now we're going to open houses. We're looking at houses. We finally have a better idea of what we want. You know, we're like, okay, this is our price range. This is our area. This is our wants. This is our needs. We have a better idea. We have one first impression on an offer. The market is definitely different today than it was 6 months ago. But we always want to give our best foot forward. You know, our presentation, our first presentation, whenever we're offering something, we want to have all our paperwork locked up. We want to make sure that when we present the best that we possibly can. We always want to be ready. So when Rebecca asks you for a couple of pieces of paper, just give it to her. That's it. Just give it to her. Don't drive her crazy. She's going to need it, and it's going to help you. Because you know what's going to happen? You fall in love with the house when your stuff isn't ready, and by the time we get you ready, that house is gone. Because there's still very low inventory. And believe it or not, when you are ready, it can go very quickly. It can go very quickly. So your first impression is a huge thing. We want to make sure that we have all our paperwork in order and everything is set. So when we do pull the trigger, we're ready. I know, it's scary. It's like, oh God, he just made me buy a house. No, hold on, everybody calm down. You know, some of us aren't ready to buy a house. Some of us have a little bit of a credit problem. That's okay. Nobody has perfect credit. Nobody goes into this. This is why this class is so important. If there is an issue with your credit, Rebecca can be like, hey look, it's gonna probably take around 4 months, you know, to fix it up. This is what you have to do. Let's get you set up and then we'll go. You know, it's very important that you know, these are all steps that we need to know. So that's that. First impression, paperwork. Finding a match. So we found the match. You know, what's the next one? Oh wait, we are. Finding a match. You found the house. That's it. Right? Like, it's right. It's got the right amount of bedrooms. There's a beautiful little tree that a squirrel waved at you in the front yard. This is it. This is the house, right? You got that feeling. What do? What's the next steps? Our paperwork's in order. We have a team surrounding us, so we know who our attorney is. We know who our home inspector is. We know who our bank is. We know everything. We're ready. We have a team behind us. Our real estate agent, whichever one it may be, is driving this car, making sure everything is going good. We put in an offer. We have an accepted offer. Amazing. We have an accepted offer. Not all of them get accepted, don't get me wrong. But let's say we have an accepted offer. We found our house. We know which house we're getting. This is where it's very important, where home inspection. I'm a real estate agent, you know? Rebecca's the bank. Rob's the photographer. We're all very good at what we do. Rob is the inspector. He's licensed, he knows what he's looking for, he goes into these houses several times a day, and he knows exactly what's going to cost you money, and it's very important. So that small fee that you're paying for a home inspection can save you tens of thousands of dollars in the long run. So Rob, if you have a second, please come and say a few words.
Good morning. So after you guys, I'm Rob Cicero, Premier Home Inspection Group, sorry. So as Baldo said, so after you get through all that and you get an accepted offer, I come in and I kill your dreams and aspirations. No, I'm just kidding. So what, as Baldo said, is our job is to really just uncover any unforeseen, any issues, any major issues that may cost you money in the future, such as a roof, a heating system, possible safety and health conditions, asbestos, mold. So what we're going to really do is, you know, most of you as our first-time home buyers, you know, also show you some things, where the shut-off valves are for your, your water system, your, how to serve, what you should do with your heating system, how often it should be serviced. If the roof is at the end of its economic life, just kind of, bring you up to speed. It's not leaking now, but it may, you're going to need a new roof in about 10 years or so. That's really what our role is to do. Has anybody ever looked at a house yet? Anybody own a house yet? So you're all true first-time home buyers. But you lived in your own home probably with your parents, right? So you remember your dad's doing things on the weekends, caulking things. So we're going to really just make sure that the home, what the condition of the home is at the time you're looking at it. It's a snapshot of time. And then we're going to just kind of outline to you, hey, listen, your heating system is old. It's from 1986. It's going to probably need to be updated. But it is performing its function. Make sure the roof, of course, is not leaking. Any possible water concerns. We use thermal camera and thermal imaging to see for those things. In the ground tanks. Certain areas like Levittown, for instance. Levittown is an area where there was, those houses had in the ground oil tanks. A lot of people don't know about them. It was converted over to gas. So was the oil tank abandoned? So that's where time and experience comes in. I've been doing this for 23 years, so I know. Okay, in Levittown, all my guys. Be conscious of possible underground oil tanks, because now once you take possession of that property, now that's your issue. So those are things where just using an experienced inspection firm is going to be something that's paramount. No disrespect to anybody that just got into the field, but there's just certain things you're just going to learn over time from just being out in the field. As Baldo said, we're doing 100 plus inspections a month. We're in houses every single day, 2-3 houses. So we know each area. We know certain conditions that we're going to be dealing with each area. And that's pretty much what our role is to do. As Baldo said, once you find a house, it's really, really important to, set up a time, with the company, whether it be my company or any other company, do your due diligence, but you want to be present at the inspection. It's important, because you need certain things. It's all documented with photos, but me telling you something and showing you something, you seeing it in a photo can be two completely different things. A big thing that a lot of people are doing now also is what's called the final walkthrough. You're going to do a final walkthrough. So after you get, Rebecca gets you to clear to close, now you're going to go and do your final walkthrough. So if there were conditions on an inspection, you may want to then have the inspection company come back and do a final walkthrough. Just because they said it was fixed, you're excited. Wow, 45 days since we looked at this house, we're ready to close. I bought that TV right before Super Bowl. It's going to go here. You're not looking at the things. So now you move into the house and they say they fixed an outlet, and you go to plug something in, it doesn't work. Now you close on the house. Good luck. You're going to call Baldo or me, or I'm like, well, they said they fixed it. I don't know. We didn't check. So there's a lot of steps, and we'll make sure that you guys are up to speed at all times on what's going on with that stuff. Anybody have any questions on anything that they may be wondering about how an inspection is handled? No? Just making it easy.
Maybe later.
Yeah, but what I'll do is I'll hand out my card. You guys can call me at any question. So if you're on a property and you have a particular question, of course, you guys can still reach out to me. If you just have a general question, like what should you be looking for, we can always send you over like a checklist, something just to help you guys out during the process. Because of course, I don't know what you guys' backgrounds are, but not that you can be jumping up on a roof, but there may be certain things you may be looking for while you're walking through the process. Okay? I'll be out here, but all right, guys.
Is very detailed. There's photos for everything. He breaks everything down. He's not scaring you to death, but he's also making sure that he breaks everything down to where you're understanding it, because it's a lot. As a first-time home buyer, I've lived in my house for 9 years. If I ask my wife where's the water cutoff, she'll have no clue, but I need to know that. So this is something that he's going to do as well. He'll be like, this is your main, this is your water cutoff, this is your main water coming into the house, this is your electrical box. Listen, none of us know this stuff. I lived in the house with my parents. I know I'm old. I had parents a long time ago. but I didn't know any of this stuff. So an inspection is so important, especially for a first-time home buyer, because you break it down. It just breaks it down. So our attorney is not here today. So we have a small video we're going to play. Her name is Leslie Wells. She is spectacular when it comes to first-time home buyers. She's very easy to get along with, and she's very patient. First-time home buyers tend to have the most questions, which they should, because it's their first time going through it. And she's definitely a great person to work with. So here's a little video from her.
Hi, my name is Leslie Wells, and I'm a real estate attorney here in Long Island. I love working with first-time home buyers. They have a lot of questions, and I love to be helpful. So if you access my website, wellslawli.com, it has all the means of contact. Feel free to ask me any questions you might have about the legal side of the home buying process. I'm more than happy to help and make myself available. You can call, email, or text, and I will respond to you as quickly as possible. And my job mainly in the process is to make sure you have a fair contract, make sure you understand the contract because it's a lot, and to follow your lending process and make sure you reach your deadlines, make sure title is clear and acceptable. And then once you're clear to close, I show up at the closing and we go through all the hoops required in order to get you the keys, and then you're home. If you ever have questions, like I said, you can reach out to me on my website. I'm sure there is contact information from Team Baldo as well, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
So that is Leslie. That's what I was talking about. Very soft-spoken. Like everybody feels like they were just hugged, right? That's basically, and that's exactly what you want to work with when you're a first-time home buyer. So let's talk a little bit more about the attorney. Choosing the right attorney. Again, you want to make sure you're choosing the right attorney. Somebody who's going to look out for you. Somebody who's not just trying to get the deal done. Somebody who's going to explain the process, and somebody who's accessible. You know what I mean? It's attorneys are very busy, you know, but you kind of want, if you got a question you want to ask, you want it answered in a timely manner. So I have my partner Marco here. He's going to run down a few more things on the attorney. I'll let you go.
Hello, Marco Darduini, if we haven't met already. As Baldo was saying, next step is once you guys have the accepted contract, you got the inspection done, the attorney sends out the fully executed contract, which means the seller agreed to the terms and the buyer agreed to the terms, and now it's basically in the attorney's hands. They go back and forth, whatever issues that there may be, if any, and then it goes to title as well, going back and forth with any liens, any open liens on a property, any other issues that may have a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. There may be some an open certificate of occupancy for a deck that was built without a permit, like little things like that that have to be worked out that aren't major. Normally, little things like that, they usually work it out, and that's that. So now you have the fully executed contract, and once you have the contract, you do the down payment. First part of the down payment, you usually do at the contract, and then the final at closing, whatever it may be. If you put down 10%, 5% on contract, and then another 5% at the closing. And I mentioned the title and the survey, and that's basically it. They go back and forth. If there are any issues, did I miss anything? No. That's pretty much it. I'm a little nervous if you couldn't tell, but you guys are awesome, and thank you for coming. And after that is the closing, correct? What's the next screen?
Before that.
Oh, Rebecca didn't speak.
Rebecca.
I'm sorry.
So I'll just say a few more things on the attorney. That what you want to do. It's just a real quick where we find the house, we have an accepted offer. Their attorney, the seller's attorney, sends out contracts. Our attorney reviews them, protects us, makes sure that we're good. We sign contracts, like Marco said, we're going to send in, we're going to give them some money. That's always a painful little situation there. It's a real hard check to sign, but it's a great thing because you're one step closer to home ownership. Once we sign, the seller signs, that means we're fully executed. Once we're fully executed, then all the fun stuff happens. That's where Rebecca comes in, 100 miles an hour, and does everything that all the magic she does to make it happen. So please, Rebecca, if you can, thank you.
Listen, I'll try to make it short, but it's a lot to cram in, but I'll squeeze it in. Well, first of all, thank you guys for showing up. I know that's kind of an exciting step. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Rebecca. I'm with Cardinal Financial. We're one of the larger banks out here in New York, but we're actually in 50 states, and I'm licensed in 15, and I've been doing this over 22 years. I specifically work with first-time home buyers or anybody who has mortgage needs. Truthfully, I do this because I love going through the journey with you guys. I always tell everyone, working with me isn't a conversation you're having of, where I'm standing there with an approved or denied. It's like, I'm showing you the roadmap on how we need to do this. So if there are things we need to work on, I'm giving you all the tools and I'm preparing you, I'm whipping you into shape. I don't show any of your stuff to underwriting. I'm that person you come to figure out how do we do it. And that's the role that I play. So if there are things that need to be addressed, we work together. I'll try to just hone in on a few points and I won't get too in depth, but we did include this little steps for home ownership, and maybe it will tie in some of the things that Baldo and the team have discussed already, right? So they mentioned getting pre-approved, right? Many of you have heard of pre-qualifications and pre-approvals. There's a difference. Truthfully, to just summarize it down, sometimes when you speak with a bank, they might just ask you a few questions. That's likely what a pre-qual is. A pre-approval is when we really look at the full picture. We look at the credit, we look at your income, we look at your assets, right? We would sit down, or have a phone call, and I would go through everything pertaining to your job, how long have you lived there, and all those type of things. And just a few pointers on the pre-approval process. Again, if you're not ready, it's okay, but I'm gonna point you in the right direction as far as your credit. Us at Cardinal, we do have programs where where they will allow you to borrow as low as 500 FICO score. Is that everyone's goal? No, but there are some people who are in circumstance and maybe that product might gear towards them, okay? So having flexibility and tons of options and a lender who knows how to structure a deal is extremely important, right? But as a first-time home buyer, I will say this, there's products out there such as FHA, conventional. We included some things in here pertaining to products. And we probably could give you some more, but you'll see there's things pertaining to conventional, FHA. As a first-time home buyer, you do not have to put 20% down, all right? You can put as little as 3 to 3.5%. Many of you have heard of FHA, and we probably don't have the product in there, but we'll make sure we get those in your hand. And there's programs out there that will gear towards helping you with down payment if you don't have it all. If your income requirements meet it, that's part of our pre-qual and pre-approval conversation. I determine which are the best products for you, and then I issue you the pre-approval letter according to your circumstance and what fits you. If we're not able to issue that pre-approval at the end of the call, I've already given you the game plan, and we work together. We're homies to the end. My goal is to help you get there. By the end of it, I'm coming to the cookout. So that's that. I prepare the file prior to it going to underwriting. So after you go out with Baldo and his team and you guys find everything and the attorneys go back and forth, we jump into what they call a fully executed contract. That means you've already been pre-approved, you went out shopping, you had the house inspected, your attorney worked with you, now it's showtime, right? And at that point, we've already did our scrubbing. When you work with Cardinal, we actually approve your file in advance, so you already know you're getting the mortgage. It takes away some of the nervousness of the transaction, kind of allow you to be a little bit more excited about the process and so on. Obviously, there's things that along this process as your contract's been signed, we're gonna want you to not do, right? Such as what he mentioned, the do's and the don'ts at one point. One, you're not gonna be having your credit run. You're gonna protect that at all costs. You're gonna maintain job stability. If you're considering changing jobs, let's have a conversation. I literally had a conversation with a buyer yesterday who's going, I'm switching from salary to per diem. Well, we had to have that conversation. We determined if that would affect their pre-approval. So those type of things we're discussing along the way. If you have to make a purchase because your car broke down, you can't get to work, let's talk about it. Let's get on the phone. Let's make sure it's not affecting you. But from that point after contracts are signed, you're going through underwriting, you're getting your house appraised. There's a difference between an inspection and an appraisal. That's where the bank makes sure what you're buying is truly worth what it is. The bank is reviewing all the documentation you have provided through. The title search is sent from your attorney Your attorney's working with the seller to make sure that's clear. You're not getting any of the stuff that the seller had on them onto your new house. You're getting nice, clean title, and the bank's making sure of those things. And after we go through all these things and all the documentation has been sorted out, your file gets clear to close, and we set up a closing date, and we all go to the table and we sign those documents, and it's yours from there. It's really, believe it or not, simple, and it's really, if we do everything well from the pre-approval process, it's really as smooth sailing as what I mentioned. It's really more so nerves at that point, but that's okay. Once you know you are paired with the right person who knows how to put you in the right product and structure it, it's really not as daunting as a process as you think. Again, I won't bore you with the details of it, but at the end of the day, I really want to see everyone become homeowners. Look at us as your partners and somebody who to lean on to help you get to the finish line. I know I didn't get too in-depth in products, but I gladly answer any questions and things I maybe did not touch. Does anybody have any questions pertaining to anything related on the mortgage aspect? Don't be shy.
I just can't think right now.
It's okay. You know what I say to people? By the time you get off the phone with me, most people are like, wow, you touched base on everything. I don't have any questions. No, don't worry. You're going to have questions along the way. And just like the inspector and them and your attorney, I literally give out my cell phone number. I tell my clients, text me. I answer your questions immediately. That's another thing. You want to make sure you're dealing with somebody who's responsive. I work weekends. I work nights. I really try to work so you can catch the fish and beat the competition and have the strongest, possibility of getting into a home. So the questions may come later on down the way, and that's that. But anyhow, thank you guys for coming and starting the first step to home ownership.
Thank you.
Did I touch base on everything you want me to?
Absolutely.
I know I zoomed through, but hopefully it was enough. There's plenty in there for you guys to dig into as well.
So just a few things to recap. She said 3 to 3.5%, which is huge. Most people think it's 20%. So you're saving and you're saving and you're saving, and then there's things like good debt and bad debt. So this is very important. If you have a student loan or you have something, don't pay it off.
Oh, no.
Don't do that. Don't do any of that, because there's such a thing as good debt. And Rebecca will explain it to you. So sometimes somebody's like, oh, I got to pay off this student loan. You're paying $200 a month. The student loan is $120,000. The bank would much rather you be paying $200 a month than see a bank account deplete $100,000. So it's very important that before you make any financial decisions over $300, that's my rule. So I don't spend over $100 without asking my wife, right? So that's the way I live my life. I'm like, I'm gonna spend. Let me make the call. Same thing. Even now, even if you're not ready today, that phone call to Rebecca should happen, because she'll explain things like that. Like, don't pay off certain debt. Don't do these things, because you'll hurt yourself.
Even if they're collections or charge-offs, don't.
Exactly. So before you think about, because some people don't understand the situation that they're in, debt isn't always a bad thing. It's really not. So that's why it's so important to surround yourself with a professional who knows exactly what they're doing. So yeah, 3.5%, 3%, it's amazing. That makes it attainable. So the goal for being a homeowner in 2023 could be realistic. It could happen as long as you set yourself up with the right people, the right team, and everyone who's on your side. That's what matters. And clear to close. Whenever I hear those 3 words, they're the most beautiful words in real estate. That means you're about to be a homeowner. Clear to close. Your life is about to change. You're about to start building equity in your life. You're setting a foundation for not only you, but for future generations when you're becoming a homeowner. A landlord and a homeowner is one of the most spectacular things I believe you can be. So now we're at a spectacular part. I'm going to introduce.
I just want to say something.
Oh, please.
All right.
This is Barbara Ventura.
I don't speak much. I don't have much to say, but I'm the brains behind the operation.
Absolutely.
They're the beauties. Come on. So
Totally lying about this one.
I want to introduce my team because where we all started, I started real estate in '06, but I joined Keller Williams in 2020, and about 2 years ago now, about a year and a half, 2 years, us four joined forces to form the Sold by Baldo team. And I think when I speak on behalf of them. We are proud to be behind his name. Baldo had a vision, and I think we've done a lot in the past 2 years for the community and for our sellers and buyers. So using any of us, just know we'll have the patience and walk every step of the way with you guys to get you to own, your goal to own a home, because that's what we want for you. So good luck, and Alyssa, if you have any questions. All right.
I also want to introduce another team member. I call him Joe, sometimes Giuseppe. It depends on whatever he's feeling that day, but please come up. I'd like for you to...
Thanks, Bob. Well, congratulations, you're now a homeowner. Yeah, we're done, right? We're not going to hang out anymore. We're not going to go looking for houses again. That's absolutely incorrect. Because after this point, there's going to be a lot of resources you're going to need that we're going to be able to help provide for you. Whether it be who is your electric company, who's your water company, who is your sanitation, what do we do with this, what's going on with the town that you're in. So we're the resource for you. So we're with you for life. Because no matter what you need and what you go on, we're going to assist you with. So every type of contact and resource that we have, we're going to be providing for you. So no matter what you do, where you go, or how you get into your town, or what you're doing for your home, whether it be, hey, I need something to do with my roof. Who do I have? We have roofers. Oh, I may need a painter. We have painters. Oh, I may need someone that's going to be doing flooring. We have flooring guys. So we pretty much have all those steps. This way you're not sitting there going on to Angie's List, sending out a report and having 55 million people call you up. Hey, did you hear about this? Did you hear about this? No. We'll get you to the right people that know what they do, they're lucrative in what they do, and they're honest in what they do. At the end of the day, it's your comfort zone that we care about. So no matter which way it goes, that's the way we're going to help you out. And besides that, it's always good to understand where your house is and where it's going to. Check your neighborhoods, right? You always want to check your neighborhoods, as we said earlier. But this is the part where now you own the home, it's yours, the keys are given to you. Whether you're going to go that same day or the day after, it's not yours. And that's it. Congratulations. And that's it. I'm going to bring it back to the boss. He hates that word.
It's not far from. So this is it. These are the steps. I know we ran through a lot, and we probably like here, take this. But this was just to kind of show you what the steps are. Everything we said is so attainable. I have stories that in the last few years, 2 years ago, family friend, known them for 40 years, my whole life, 40 plus years. They lived in an apartment their whole life. They lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in Howard Beach. That's where they lived. 2-bedroom apartment in Howard Beach. And I had a conversation with them a little over 2 years ago. And the conversation was, what are you guys doing? Why don't you buy? And they're like, no, we can't. I said, why can't you? So I said, let's have the conversation. We found out their salary. We found out their debt to income ratio. We found everything out. They ended up buying a house. So from a 2-bedroom apartment that they were living in for over 30 years, they moved to where'd they move? To
Selden?
Selden, yes. Selden. An acre of land, a 4-bedroom cape. And they're paying the same amount they were paying for that rental in Howard Beach. And I have a picture of them, of husband and wife standing in front of this house, in front of a huge property. And to me, that was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen, because what they were going to do, they were going to continue renting and paying someone else's mortgage. But instead, now their kids and their grandkids are going to have this acre of land in Selden with a 4-bedroom house. It's doable. It's definitely attainable. We just have to figure out the best way to get there. So thank you all for coming today, and I hope I didn't bore you too much, and I hope you got some good information out of everything. But congratulations on your first step. Soon, you guys, I could see it, I could smell it. You guys are all first-time home buyers. Soon. Any questions?
I do actually, I finally remembered the two questions I had. So, the first one is, what is the difference between an FHA and a conventional loan?
So an FHA and a conventional loan, Rebecca, don't test me, all right? But,
Yeah.
so that.
No, that's fine. So FHA is a government-backed loan. It's geared towards achieving homeownership for buyers. It's supposed to make it very lenient. If it's more lenient guidelines such as your credit, debt-to-income ratio, loan amounts, more gentle on the rate. However, the caveat is with that program is that the mortgage insurance is on there as long as you work in that particular loan. You don't have to stay in that loan. Most people use FHA to just get their foot through the door, and then they'll refinance out. So I'll give you an example. Look at the guy who bought the two-family in Queens 5 years ago, $400,000. He did 3.5% down. That house is worth $700,000. Was that a bad investment? No, it was not. That person likely refinanced into conventional loan. Now, both products have mortgage insurance, right? Conventional, you do not have mortgage insurance if you put more than 20% down. That's the difference.
So-
FHA, you can put 20% down, but it's on there. After 11 years, it would fall off. Not after you hit it's a time period. But some people go for FHA for many reasons. I get, well, I had a bankruptcy 2 years ago, or we had a foreclosure 2 years ago. My wife doesn't work on the books. We need bigger, more buying power. We don't have as much money, but if I do FHA, I can get into a house. You know what I mean? That's why that pre-approval process, we can kind of look at it and say, you can do this, but this is where you're going to land, and that's where you're going to land, and that's it. I always tell people, get your foot in the door at least. And then in the end, you always see, like, it's worth it in some asset, because you see that real estate starts to go up. If you put 3.5% down, you gain 100, 2-3 years down the line, it's a win. It's a win. So
Use it as a tool.
Worry too much about those things.
Absolutely. So a PMI, an FHA, a PMI, it's not an end all. People see the PMI and they're like, oh man, I have to pay X amount more a month for this insurance. Use it as a tool. Rates go up and down constantly. There's trends. So if in 7 years, 6 years, 7 years, you now own the home, this is the home you want to be in. You want to refinance. You can always bring that PMI down. Use it as a tool to get started in being a homeowner. Being a homeowner that's the goal. Of course, I go back to one of the first things I said when we started. You have to be comfortable, not what you can afford. So that all falls in the same circle of things that we were talking about. You want to be sure that you're comfortable. Don't max yourself out. Everything else is a challenge that can be taken on. A PMI, great. 3 years, rates go down. You're like, you know what? Let's wipe out that PMI. Let's refinance. You call Rebecca again, and she does refinances. That's the great part about it. She does everything with it.
You can refinance at almost any time then?
So typically, it's you want some type of equity in the property. But you can refinance, but you typically don't want to refinance unless you have some equity. And the housing market, I think my father bought a 6-family for $45,000, years ago. I told him I'd give him 50 cash. He said no. So, typically what happens to house prices? They go up. Up, always. So the more equity you have in your house, the more you're paying off. So these are two things that are happening simultaneously. The price of the house typically goes up, and as you're paying the house down. And that's where your equity comes in, and that's when typically you find
6 months to a year though.
Yeah.
It used to be 6 months, it's changing soon.
Yeah.
So there are people who brought 6 months ago, refi, believe it or not, and had equity.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's crazy.
And now they're changing that guideline to 12, which is not a big deal. Most people were doing that anyway. Okay.
You guys have any other questions? It's a lot.
ahead.
No, please.
The more you ask, the
Absolutely.
better it is.
Yeah.
So my only other question that I can think of right now is, as a first-time home buyer, what is the difference if my first home would be an investment property versus a residential?
So, first time, so if you're using it as a residential, you can grieve your taxes, you can use STAR program, so there's a little bit more tax benefits when you're using it as a primary home instead of a secondary home. Secondary home, I think really the answer to that is you have less tax benefits. But if you're renting out the property, you have to make sure, and we do a lot of investment properties as well. So Barbara's like the queen of investment properties, there's no question about it. But we run the numbers. We see if it makes sense. We see what your insurance is. We see what the maintenance on the property is. We see all of the numbers, and then hey, look, you're in the green X amount every month, you know, and that's where it makes sense, you know. So, but typically the difference between a primary home and an investment property is your tax benefits.
Awesome. All right, thank you for that.
No problem.
Any other questions?
Thomas. You ready? That's it?
I have a question, yeah.
Go.
So let's say we bought a home, right?
Yes.
And now, last minute, the person backs out, doesn't want to sell. What happens? Like, how does that work?
So this is why contracts are so important. Typically that doesn't really happen too often. I don't see it at all. When somebody's selling and they agree to a price, they're selling, they agree to a price. If it's the other way, let's say you're saying somebody doesn't want to sell ananymore, but you're in contract.
So let's say, for example, I'm a homeowner, right? Now, something happens last minute, I don't want to sell no more, that's it. Like literally the week before, I don't want to leave, that's it, and then how do they go about that?
So typically, you're in contract, they're in contract, the seller's in contract, the attorney's gonna hold them to contract. They can delay it, there can be penalties, there can be fines, but at the end of the day, this contract, unless you decide to break it, they have to sell
So
at one point.
that's it, right?
Yeah, but it could be inconvenient for you too, because they could hold it out for a long time.
I was just curious on that.
And vice versa too, you know, let's say I've seen buyers say, hey, I want out, I don't want it, you know? So, and the only way out of a contract, so that's why being in a contract is so important as well. The only way out of a contract is if for some reason you can't get the mortgage. So, you know, that's usually the only bail back on getting out of a contract as a buyer. So this is something you really want to be sure of. This is a huge, a huge decision in life, and you know, most of the time it's more than one person making this decision. But you really want to be. Whoever's making this decision, you want to be an open conversation. You want to be sure that this is what's happening, and you want to be sure of the area that you want to go to. You want to be sure of the taxes. You want to be sure of your price point. There's a lot of things to be sure of, and that's what everyone in this room is here for, to help with you being sure, being very comfortable, and making this as easy as a process as possible.
And to tackle on to that, the best thing regarding that is having an open conversation with both your realtor and your mortgage person. So this way they know everything that's going to happen about you, because this is a big change for your life. So if you're holding something back and something just pops out of nowhere, where it does happen, you'd rather be ahead of the game than behind the 8 ball and not know what's happening. Absolutely. Because that could really falter you down. It could also cause you to lose money if you're the buyer on that deposit that you're never going to get back. So all that information that you have, ask it.
Yeah.
Nothing is wrong with asking questions or giving the information, because the more that we know, the better it is, and your lawyer as well, the better it is for us to gauge and your guidance to what your next steps are. Because if you hold anything back and it's found out later on, things come out. So you just want to be as open as you can with what you have going on, and this way it makes it easier for us to get you a product, a solution, and a home that's right for you, and not you're stuck with something you're not happy with.
Yeah. And if you really don't like the house, call me, I'll sell it for you. You know? That one's easy, you know?
Listen, two people don't lie to your doctor or your lawyer.
Or your loan officer.
Oh, you're the loan officer.
You don't want your loan officer.
That's it. Any more questions? If you guys don't want to talk and be on, and you have all our cards there, please feel free to reach out, and any questions you guys have, we'd love to answer. And congratulations on your first step. I see keys in your future. So, all right, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.